It was colder than usual that morning. The wind moved through the open field like it had something to say. Metal targets clanged in the distance, rifles clicked, boots stomped on dry gravel. Laughter rolled across the range. Young soldiers, most barely into their 20s, joked while loading mags, adjusting scopes, shouting over each other. Then the laughter dipped. A woman had entered the range. No one saw where she came from. She was just there, standing near the check-in table. Tall, quiet, civilian clothes, black jacket, military boots. No name tag, no ID badge. Her hair was tied back, sharp and clean like everything else about her. She looked like she belonged and didn't, all at once. She didn't speak, just nodded once to the clerk, signed her name. W. Gray. No one recognized it. A few guys snickered. One of them nudged his friend. Lost, maybe. Is this some kind of test? She walked past the benches and straight to the weapons rack. Eyes followed her. She didn't hesitate. Didn't browse. Picked up an M4 like she'd picked it up 1,000 times. Checked the chamber. Loaded it. Checked the sight. Every movement clean, controlled. Too clean. Max, tall, loud, the kind of guy who always needed a stage, couldn't resist. "Hey," he called out, grinning like a TV host. "You sure you're holding that the right way? It's not a hairdryer, lady." Laughter, a few claps. He loved that. She didn't even look at him. Instead, she stepped into lane 7. Took a breath, raised the rifle. Her posture shifted, subtle but surgical. Left foot forward, elbow tucked, head angled just so. No wasted motion. Bang. The bullet hit dead center. A clean shot. Max's grin twitched. She adjusted the sight just slightly. Bang. Again, center mass. By now, even the instructors had stopped talking. Bang, bang, bang. Each round landed like a fingerprint. Same place, same speed, no rush, no pause, just perfect. The laughter was gone. The air had turned still. One of the junior instructors leaned toward his buddy. "That's military form. Tight, like top tier." "No badge, though," the other whispered. "That's not protocol." Another soldier lifted his phone to record. Her face stayed empty. Not smug, not cold, just distant. Like her body was here, but her mind was far away, somewhere louder, somewhere darker. Max forced a chuckle. Okay. Maybe she's been to a few shooting classes. Calm down, y'all." Still, no response from her. She set the rifle down gently, then reached for a sidearm. Loaded it with the same silent rhythm. Her breathing stayed steady. Someone murmured, "She's not here for fun." And for the first time, they all wondered, who was this woman, and why did it feel like she wasn't here to learn, but to remember? The shots had stopped, but the silence they left behind stayed. The woman, W. Gray, stepped back from the line and began disassembling the rifle, calm as ever. Her hands moved with practiced ease. Not the kind of ease that comes from weekend training, the kind that comes from war. People were still watching her, but now the laughter was gone. Now it was something closer to caution, even fear. Someone whispered from behind a bench, "No way she's just a civilian." A younger soldier replied, "She's got form." That's military grip. I've seen our CO miss more than she did. Max, standing further back now, folded his arms like he was trying to keep himself together. He forced another weak grin. "She's probably just been watching YouTube tutorials." No one laughed this time. She moved to the next table, picked up a Glock, ejected the magazine, inspected it, loaded it again. Not a flicker of hesitation. She didn't scan the room. She didn't need approval. Every move was like muscle memory, but the kind burned into your bones. An older instructor, retired Marine, thick-necked and confident, finally walked toward her. "You've got a tight hold," he said, trying to keep his tone light. "But your left thumb's a little high. You'll feel that in the recoil." Without looking at him, she replied softly, Thumb only lifts when the grip is weak. Mine isn't. The instructor blinked. She turned, met his eyes for one quiet second, then looked away. That's when it hit him. He didn't say another word. Someone checked the sign-in sheet again. Just the name, W. Gray. No initials, no unit, no history. And then, like a match to dry leaves, the rumors lit up. I heard there was a woman like her in a covert team overseas, one guy whispered. Yeah, Black Ops. Whole squad went missing 2 years ago. Only one came back. Said she was different after. They pulled her record, buried it, sealed everything. Nobody knew where the story started, but it spread like smoke. Max, now visibly uncomfortable, tried to laugh again. All right, come on, this is getting weird. She's not some ghost soldier, She walked past him. He flinched. She didn't even glance in his direction, didn't need to. Her presence hit harder than any words. Her boots crushed dry gravel as she walked back to her gear bag. She knelt down, back straight, unzipped it. For a moment, it looked like she paused, just slightly. A breath caught in her chest. Not fear, something deeper. Regret, maybe, or grief. But it passed as quickly as it came. One of the young trainees whispered, "Did you see her eyes?" "Yeah," someone else said quietly. "She's not looking at us, she's looking through us." And that was the scariest part. She stood still for a moment, her hand resting on the edge of the bench like she was holding herself in the present. Everyone watched her now. Not with amusement, not even curiosity. It was something heavier, like they were standing near something that didn't belong to their world. She zipped her gear bag slowly, strapped it across her shoulder, and turned to leave. Nobody moved. The wind shifted again. You could hear it whistle through the rows. Even the distant clatter of gunfire from the other range seemed to fade. She walked toward the exit. That's when a voice followed her. It was soft, almost shaky. "Where'd you learn to shoot like that?" A young trainee, maybe 19, 20, had stepped out of line. Slim, nervous, trying not to show it. Her name tag read Carson. Her voice wasn't mocking. It was real, honest. The woman stopped walking but didn't turn. For a few seconds there was only wind and breath. Then, finally, W. Gray spoke. Her voice was low, even, but carried a weight that made people turn to hear. "You don't forget what you needed to survive." Carson's mouth parted like she wanted to ask something else, but Gray was already walking again. Behind her eyes, something flickered. Not the range, not the people. Memories. Fractured, like broken glass catching flashes of light. Flames. Sand. A voice screaming through comms. "We're not alone." Then silence. Too much silence. She shook her head gently, forcing the ghosts back where they belonged. But then, the quiet broke. Tires. Not from inside the range, from outside. 2 black SUVs pulled up fast. No sirens, just speed and purpose. They skidded to a halt behind the admin office. The doors opened in perfect sync. 4 men stepped out in uniform, army police. Every head turned. Carson stepped back instinctively. Max cursed under his breath. One of the men scanned the crowd and locked eyes on her. The others moved like they'd done this before. Calm, trained, precise. The lead officer stepped forward. His voice was clear and hard. "W. Gray, you need to come with us." She didn't flinch. No surprise. No protest. She gave a small nod, almost like she had expected them an hour ago. Someone whispered, "Wait, what did she do?" But there were no answers. Only the sharp, hollow click of her boots as she walked toward the officers. She moved with quiet dignity. No panic, no shame. Just resolve. Carson wanted to say something, anything, but her throat tightened. Gray passed her. Their shoulders almost touched. For the briefest second, Gray paused. Her voice came softer this time, almost like a memory being spoken aloud. "Some places never let you leave. They just wait for you to come back." Then she was gone, stepping into the SUV, the door slamming shut behind her. Dust lifted from the tires. The range was silent again. but nothing felt the same. The black SUVs waited like dark shadows at the edge of the range. The air felt heavy, almost suffocating, as everyone watched W. Gray step inside the first vehicle. Max stood frozen, his face pale, like he had just seen a ghost he couldn't run from. Carson, the young trainee, opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. Her hands trembled as she held the bullet casing she had found earlier, the one that had slipped from Gray's pocket unnoticed. The instructors and other soldiers instinctively stepped back, clearing the way. No one tried to stop the Army police. It was as if Gray belonged to another world, one they weren't meant to touch. A low murmur rose among the crowd. One older soldier muttered almost under his breath, "Told you." Ghost Unit. Carson clutched the bullet casing tighter. The initials engraved on it caught the sunlight. J.K. Letters she didn't recognize but somehow felt heavy with meaning. The SUV door slammed shut behind Gray. The engines roared to life, kicking up clouds of dust that drifted over the range like smoke from a fading fire. Then, as the vehicles began to pull away, Gray turned her head, just once. Her eyes met the crowd for a brief moment. There was no fear there, no anger, only pain, or maybe regret. A question hung in the air, whispered between the watching soldiers. Is she in trouble? No one answered. An Army officer's voice cut through the silence, cold and quiet. She was never supposed to be here. Carson stared at the empty spot where Gray had stood. The echo of her last words lingered in her mind. Some places never let you leave. They just wait for you to come back. The dust settled. The clinking of brass casings on the ground was the only sound. Slowly, the range returned to normal. Soldiers began talking again, but their voices were softer now, quieter, respectful. Max finally shook off the shock and muttered, "I don't think she came here to shoot." Carson nodded, her eyes still fixed on the bullet casing in her hand. "I think she came to remember. And maybe, just maybe, to say goodbye to a past no one else could see."